Reports of a new scam hit Columbia. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Reed.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. The viewer tip says scammers are impersonating an international home security company in order to get the homeowner's bank information. KOMU-8's Blair Ussery is in the studio to tell us more about the scam and how you could avoid it.
The Better Business Bureau says it is aware of the scam, but this is
A Missouri State Highway Patrol trooper who spoke out about the agency after an Iowa man drowned in custody at the Lake of the Ozarks has been demoted. Sergeant Randy Henry's attorney says the demotion is punishment for claiming the patrol attempted to cover up details of Brandon Ellingson's case. Ellingson drowned on May 31st of last year after Trooper Anthony Piercy pulled him over on the lake. Henry was Piercy's supervisor, and he questioned whether arrest and life jacket protocols were followed. Jurors found the death to be accidental, and Piercy was not charged. We'll have more on this story tonight on KOMU-8 News at 6. Police have identified a suspect in yesterday's burglary on Hanover Boulevard in Northeast Columbia. 22-year-old Luster Jordan Jr. was the driver of the car officers chased. He got out of the car and ran off, but police caught up to him and say he implicated himself in the burglary. They arrested him for burglary and interfering with an arrest. Authorities are still involving that incident.
The Boonville School District is working on a major security system overhaul. The project includes new doors opened with a card swipe. The nearly $4 million project is to create a safe, locked-down campus for students and staff. Though the doors will be locked all day, each entryway will be monitored by cameras and intercoms. The project is being financed through a voter-approved bond. The superintendent says the updates are necessary.
I think that it's imperative to make kids and staff and parents feel like they're safe every day when they come to focus and learn and work at bettering themselves. They don't need to be worried about whether or not they're safe.
Ficken hopes the construction will be finished before the kids arrive for the first day of school, but weather could play a factor.
A man accused of killing people at Jewish sites in Kansas asked a judge to suppress evidence that his previous attorney filed. 74-year-old Frazier Glenn Miller Jr. filed the motions because he's now representing himself. He asked a judge Wednesday to withdraw the motions, but the judge refused and said he would rule at a July 17th hearing. Miller was charged with capital murder in the April 2014 killings in Kansas City suburb Overland Park. And the Kansas City School District's Board of Directors has appointed its chief financial officer to serve as interim superintendent. The district announced today Alan Tunis will temporarily oversee operations while the district searches for a permanent replacement. Last month, Superintendent Stephen Green announced he was leaving the district for a position in Georgia. The board expects to name a permanent superintendent in the spring of 2016.
Several mid-Missouri nonprofits received big bucks today to fund projects. The United Way of Central Missouri announced 15 nonprofit groups will receive more than $115,000 in grants. This money is extra from the regular United Way funds. The money helps with extra expenses. The grants are immediate, so the agencies can start using the money right away.
To be able to put out these immediate grants is going to just really accelerate the work that the agencies are doing and touch so many lives and make so many lives better.
United Way also announced its fundraising goal for this year. It's $1.8 million, up slightly from last year.
A local summer camp is combining music and female empowerment. KOMU Girls Rock focuses on females in the community and how they can make a difference with music. Today, the girls took part in a self-defense class.
They can learn self-defense in a way that can help them feel more connected to their bodies. So it's not necessarily just to fight off like attacks, but it's also to just remind them that their bodies are strong and that they can say no.
Cook says women are often misrepresented and sexualized in the music industry, and workshops like this can remind women to be confident. The different bands will perform at a showcase Saturday at the Blue Note. Doors open at 2 p.m.
Jeb Bush continues his tour of Europe. A CEO of a huge company steps down, and flooding continues across the nation.
KOMU-8's Tom Barkley has today's First Nation report.
The two escaped New York prisoners are still on the loose, but it's now believed that their original intentions may have been to head to Vermont. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin and other officials held a news conference this morning to discuss their efforts in apprehending the escapees. There is no credible evidence that the two killers are in Vermont at this time. Florida Governor Jeb Bush continued his European tour today with a stop at Poland's capital. Bush met high-ranking officials today in Warsaw for talks on the U.S. presence in Poland and the Baltics. The U.S. and NATO allies have ramped up the number of soldiers in the region, carrying out drills in a show of solidarity against Russian aggression in Ukraine. A federal judge Thursday branded a young South Florida man as a terrorist, evil in nature and evil in your deed, before sentencing him to a maximum 35 years in prison. Raiz Qazi and Shariar Qazi, naturalized U.S. citizens from Pakistan, pled guilty in March that they conspired to provide material support to terrorists. U.S. District Judge Beth Bloom compared the plot by Raiz Alab Qazi to blow up the New York City landmarks to the deadly 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Rupert Murdoch plans to step down as the CEO of 21st Century Fox, according to sources. The 84-year-old is expected to be replaced by his son, James Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch will step away from the day-to-day responsibilities, but will remain with the company's executive chairman. The changes will be made official at the 21st Century Fox board meeting next week. And that's a look at your first look around the nation.
It has certainly been hot out there lately, so let's send it over to Kenton to see when the heat might simmer down just a bit.
Yeah, Bernie, it's been a hot one. But first, before we get into our current weather here in mid-Missouri, we're going to take a look here at a live shot from a helicopter, and it's from clouds here, and this is in just north of Kansas City in the extreme northwestern part of Missouri. It's north of St. Joe here as well. And there has been some lowering here with this clouds, and it actually is a tornado warned.
Torrential rain in southwest Japan has prompted authorities to evacuate 280,000 residents. The advisory was issued as rain triggered several landslides. There are no reports of casualties so far. One city recorded 2.5 inches of rain per hour. More rain is expected.
The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power, met with Ukraine's president, Petro Poroshenko, at a time of renewed hostilities. Power is on a 3-day visit to Ukraine to meet with government officials, students, and people displaced by the conflict. She's discussing the ongoing aggression by Russian-backed rebels in eastern Ukraine.
The trial of 2 Al Jazeera journalists accused of spreading false news was adjourned today. The journalists are accused of spreading false news and collaborating with a banned Muslim Brotherhood after the overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. The 2 journalists were both released on bond in February.
Coming up on Nightly News, back in the...
A new government study finds underage drinking is on the decline. The report found drinking among Americans aged 12 to 20 dropped 6% between 2002 and 2013. Underage binge drinking fell more than 5%. In 2013, about 1 in every 5 people questioned between the ages of 12 and 20 said they recently drank alcohol. A 10th death and 14 new cases of Middle East respiratory syndrome, also known as MERS. Those cases are in South Korea, bringing the total to 122. South Korean workers today sprayed disinfectant around classrooms in a school in the capital of Seoul. More than 1,000 schools in the capital will be fumigated by the end of this week as part of measures to prevent the spread of MERS. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released its final report on the bluebell listeria outbreak. It found 10 people were infected with the bacteria in Arizona, Oklahoma, and Texas from January 2010 to January 2015, and 3 died in Kansas. The company temporarily closed factories in Oklahoma and Texas and laid off more than 1,400 workers in mid-May.
The number of children who are poisoned by nicotine continues to rise in Minnesota. The Department of Health there says e-cigarettes are to blame. Adrian Broadus reports.
They said